You know that little voice in your head, the one that whispers you're not good enough? That any minute now, everyone's going to figure out you're a total fraud? Well, today, we're building a toolkit to finally manage that inner critic and take back control of your own mind. Let's jump in.
They're going to find out that I'm a fraud. Such a heavy thought, right? Or maybe for you, it sounds a little different, like, I'm just not smart enough for this, or I have no idea what I'm doing. Whatever the words are, these thoughts can feel incredibly real and, honestly, pretty lonely.
I'm willing to bet you've had moments just like this. This feeling, sometimes it's called imposter syndrome, is basically the calling card of the inner critic. And you know what? It is way more common than you'd ever believe. You are definitely not alone in this.
But here's the absolute key, the most important thing to get. That inner critic, it's a habit. It's not a fact. It's not who you are. And thanks to what we know from neuroscience, our brains are incredibly adaptable. We actually have the power to consciously shift our own minds from self-criticism to self-support. So, here's our game plan for today. First, we'll look at the problem itself. Then, we're going to unpack 3 powerful tools to help you rewire your brain, observe your thoughts, and treat yourself with kindness. And finally, we'll put it all together to build a whole new mindset.
All right, Section 1, the inner critic problem. So what are we really up against here? Well, in a lot of ways, that critic is just an old survival mechanism that's kind of gone haywire. It's a part of our brain trying to keep us safe by pointing out flaws, but now it's just stuck in overdrive. So what are the mental superpowers we can use to fight back? Let's take a look.
Turns out, we're all born with 3 amazing mental power tools. First, there's neuroplasticity. That's your brain's incredible ability to physically change. Then there's mindfulness, which is simply your ability to be aware of your thoughts. And finally, self-compassion, your natural capacity to show kindness to yourself. And when you use these together, they are an absolutely formidable force against that inner critic.
Okay, let's dive into our first power tool, neuroplasticity. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but believe me, it's a real process and it's happening inside your brain every single second of every day.
So here's the deal. Every single thought you have strengthens a neural pathway, kind of like carving a path in the dirt. Your inner critic has been walking the same path for so long, it's basically built a superhighway, which makes it super easy to fall into those old patterns of self-doubt. But here's the good news. You can build a new road. And with practice, that new supportive pathway will become your brain's new default.
You want to feel this in action? Let's do a really quick exercise. It's called Shift Focus, and it's so simple, but it perfectly shows you the power of your own attention.
Okay, go ahead and hold both your hands out in front of you. Now, I want you to put all your focus on your left hand. Just imagine it's holding all those negative, critical thoughts. You know the ones. I'm not good enough. I'm going to fail. Really feel the weight of them in that hand.
Okay, now, slowly, I want you to shift your entire attention over to your right hand. Imagine this hand is holding all the supportive thoughts you'd much rather be thinking. Things like, I am capable. I'm actually really excited about this. Pour all of your focus right into that second hand.
You can put your hands down now. So is your left hand still there? Of course it is. But do you care about it anymore? Probably not. You see, you just proved to yourself that you are in control. What you choose to pay attention to literally determines the content of your thoughts. That's neuroplasticity right there. So, we've seen how we can redirect our attention. That's huge. But what about the thoughts themselves? This is where our second power tool, mindfulness, comes in. It's all about changing your relationship with your thoughts.
So, what is mindfulness really? It's the practice of stepping outside your own mind and just watching. You see the thoughts come, you see them go, but you don't get swept away by the drama. You become more of an impartial witness instead of a participant in the story.
So it's the difference between getting caught in a thought like, I am such an idiot, and instead mindfully noticing, oh, interesting, my inner critic circuit is running again. Can you feel the difference? One is who you are, the other is just an observation of a process happening inside you.
And this little reframe is brilliant. When you start to see these thoughts as just a habitual, almost mechanical reflex, like misfiring circuitry, they lose so much of their emotional power. You don't have to believe them, you can just notice them, choose not to react, and get back to what you were actually doing.
All right, let's move on to our third and final tool, and it's one that is so often misunderstood but is maybe the most powerful of all, self-compassion.
Now, some people hear self-compassion and they immediately dismiss it as all touchy-feely. But the actual data tells a very different story. Research shows that it actively decreases our anxiety and self-criticism while measurably increasing our confidence and our belief that we are worthy and capable.
So, far from being a weakness, self-compassion is actually a performance-enhancing tool. Think about it. When you treat yourself with support instead of criticism after a mistake, you're way more motivated to try again. It actually helps you develop higher standards for yourself in the long run.
If you're not sure where to even start with this, here's a super simple template. Just imagine a close friend came to you with the exact same self-critical thoughts you're having. What would you say? You'd probably listen, you'd empathize, and you'd offer kind, encouraging words, right? Well, that is compassion. Now for the final step, take those exact feelings and those supportive words and direct them inward to yourself.
Okay, so we've got our three tools. We have neuroplasticity, mindfulness, and self-compassion. Now, let's bring it all together and see how they work as a complete system for building a brand new, more supportive mindset.
It's really a simple three-step process. Mindfulness acts like your alarm system. It helps you notice when the inner critic shows up. Self-compassion is your first responder. It's how you respond with kindness instead of beating yourself up. And neuroplasticity? That's the long-term result. Every single time you do this, you rewire that pattern, making that supportive response stronger and stronger.
So there you have it, your mental toolkit for taming that inner critic. Just remember, rewire your brain by shifting your focus, observe your thoughts like they're just misfiring circuitry, and always, always be kind and treat yourself like you would a dear friend. Look, you don't have to master all of this at once, just start with one. So think about it, the next time that inner critic pipes up, what's your first move going to be? Which one of these tools will you use first?